My dad and stepmother changed the locks on my house to force me out and move my pregnant stepsister in. Now, they're blocked, banned from my property, and under legal warning. The house my late mother gave me was never theirs to steal. They underestimated how far I'd go to protect her legacy, and now they're paying legal fees they can't afford. Barred from even approaching the front porch. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Back when my parents divorced, Dad quickly remarried, and Savannah became the princess of the house. I stayed quiet, thinking distance meant peace, but every visit was a reminder I didn't belong. Savannah got gifts, praise, and attention. I got silence. I clung to Mom's memory, especially the old necklace she left me. It wasn't much, but it meant everything. I didn't realize then that inheritance would paint a target on my back. When I turned 18, Mom's lawyer handed me the house deed. Savannah scoffed like it was a joke. "He won't last there alone," she said to her mom, not knowing I overheard. That moment stuck. Dad just nodded, didn't defend me. I learned then that their kindness came with conditions. The house wasn't just property, it was defiance. I promised myself I'd never give them a reason to think they could take it from me. Savannah showed up uninvited, waddling into my kitchen like she owned the place, just checking on my future nursery. She smirked. I told her to leave. She laughed, said Dad had keys too. The nerve stunned me. That night, I changed the locks. 2 days later, they returned with baby gear and boxes. I slammed the door in their faces. That's when Dad called me selfish. I knew then I wasn't paranoid. They were preparing a takeover. Dad texted me a list of suggested renovations for the baby, like adding rails and soft flooring. I hadn't agreed to anything. Then Melody emailed me baby registry links. She claimed, "We're investing in your home." I felt ambushed. Tyler, Savannah's ex, warned me they were framing it as a joint household. I realized they weren't just hinting, they were documenting. The guest room door was scratched, like someone tried forcing it. I installed indoor cameras immediately. I caught Savannah snooping in my bedroom on the camera feed. When I confronted her, she claimed she was just looking for a charger. I told her she had no right. Dad said I was overreacting, that pregnancy made her forgetful. Melody added, "She's family, don't make her feel unsafe." Unsafe in my own house. They gaslighted me so smoothly I almost doubted myself. Almost. I printed stills from the footage and saved them in a folder. Savannah left it unseen on my couch with a note, "Baby's first home." I snapped a photo. Time-stamped it. This wasn't nesting, it was staking a claim. Melody called to say a realtor friend could help co-list if I felt overwhelmed. I never said I was selling. I said I'd call the police next time they entered uninvited. Dad replied with, "You'd call cops on your pregnant sister?" I responded, "I'll call anyone to defend what's mine." I came home from work to find movers in my driveway. Savannah was directing them. Dad said we could start early. She chirped. I lost it. Told the movers to leave or face trespassing charges. When called Dad for confirmation, he hung up when I said I'd called the cops. Savannah called me a childless coward. I told her I'd see her in court. That night, I filed a cease and desist for my lawyer, Lucas. A week later, I returned from errands to find the locks changed. A note on the door read, "Welcome home, baby Hawkins." I used the back entrance and caught them mid-unpacking. Melody said I was being difficult. I told them they had 5 minutes or I'd involve law enforcement. Gregory actually smiled and said, "You're overreacting." I pulled out the deed, my name, my house. I called Lucas. That eviction notice, it was coming next. The next morning, Melody filed a false welfare report, claimed I was unstable and threatening a pregnant woman. A social worker showed up. I calmly presented footage, documents, and the legal deed. She left with an apology. That same afternoon, Lucas filed a restraining order request. Savannah sent a mass email to family, painting me as heartless. One aunt replied he's defending his home. "You wanted a free ride." The tide began to shift. They tried one last stunt. Melody claimed Mom had promised the house to the next generation. No will, no witnesses, just a lie. I called Lucas again. He reminded them that tampering with estate law could mean fraud charges. They backed off. But Savannah wailed to anyone who's listen. Her tears didn't sway the court. The judge reviewed my documentation, asked no further questions, and issued a temporary protective order. I left the courtroom drained, but validated. Lucas suggested tightening security. I had deadbolts installed, added surveillance around the property, and changed all my digital passwords. Tyler reached out again, confirming they'd discussed trying to move into my home before Savannah was even pregnant. "It was always the plan," he said. That line haunted me, not desperation, premeditation. I scanned my house that night like it was a fortress. Every room, every lock, every window. My mother's picture stayed lit by the hallway lamp. Then Lucas found something disturbing. Gregory had secretly contacted a probate lawyer months ago, trying to challenge Mom's will. He cited emotional instability in me, same tactic Melody used for the welfare call. They weren't reacting, they were executing a strategy. Lucas emailed me scanned notes from Gregory's meeting. One read, "Play the long game, Savannah needs security. My own father plotted against me." I printed every page, stored them in a fireproof box beneath my bed. Savannah's friend accidentally forwarded me a message meant for her. It was a screenshot of a group chat mocking me. Melody had typed, "Just smile at him. We'll wear him down." Gregory responded with a thumbs up. That wasn't manipulation, it was coordinated coercion. I sent the screenshots to Lucas. He updated the court file. That was the last straw. Lucas scheduled a formal hearing to make the restraining order permanent and freeze any cohabitation claims they'd attempted. A distant cousin messaged me with a link to a GoFundMe titled "Help Pregnant Savannah Reclaim Her Childhood Home." They lied publicly, claimed I kicked her out of her rightful inheritance. Comments poured in, most sympathetic, but one, from Tyler, exposed the truth. "This is his house, always was." It went viral. The campaign tanked. The backlash forced Savannah to take it down. I kept every screenshot. This wasn't just family betrayal, it was public gaslighting. Lucas discovered Gregory had tried adding Savannah to my homeowner's insurance as a dependent resident. The insurer flagged it. When contacted, Gregory played dumb. We forwarded that record to the court. It showed clear intent to fabricate residency. Melody tried to downplay it as a clerical mistake. Judge wasn't buying it. That move nearly voided my policy, risked my safety. Lucas filed a civil suit for fraud. Every lie they spun added weight to their collapse. Melody left a voicemail claiming to be dying and begging me to let Savannah stay for the baby. I played it for Lucas. He grimaced. This is emotional blackmail, he said. I recorded my response. No, I am not your shelter, or your victim. Lucas submitted both files to the court. The judge listened silently, then extended the restraining order another year. Melody's medical records never surfaced. Their last sympathy card had burned. Gregory tried to get a mutual family friend, Aunt Lynn, to mediate. He claimed I was being spiteful. Lynn asked for both sides. I handed her the binder, photos, emails, court orders. She went silent, then tore up Gregory's letter in front of me. I defended you for years. I was wrong, she said. That moment mattered. She'd always believed their version. Now she knew better. She mailed the judge a character statement on my behalf. Savannah filed a false police report, saying I threatened her with a bat. Footage showed I wasn't even home that day. Lucas presented the alibi, timestamps, and indoor camera logs. Charges were dropped. But I pressed counter charges for false reporting. It shook them. Savannah's credibility crumbled. Her lawyer dropped her. Melody screamed in court. Judge had her escorted out. The courtroom door shut behind her with a finality I felt in my chest. One battle ended. I hired a locksmith to change every lock again. He found tampering marks on the back door. Lucas had it documented. Surveillance confirmed it was Gregory late at night, trespassing while under a court warning. We filed for contempt. The judge didn't hesitate to issue a fine and extended the ban. My home had become a war zone, but now, each document, each signature, each legal stamp, I stacked them like bricks around me. No one breaks in again. Melody sent a letter claiming Savannah had nowhere safe to go and begged the court for a second chance. Lucas responded with a 30-page evidence packet. Included text footage, fake listings, forged documents. The judge denied the plea without a hearing. That silence was louder than any ruling. I framed the denial letter and hung it near Mom's photo, not for gloating, for proof. They couldn't lie their way into my life anymore. This was closure. Gregory tried one last Hail Mary. He claimed I'd forged Mom's signature on the will. Lucas laughed. We produced the original, notarized with a digital trail. Then I played a voicemail of Mom talking about giving me the house. Her voice cracked. But clear, it's yours, Nathaniel. You'll need it. The courtroom fell silent. Even Melody blinked, stunned. They had nothing left. The judge dropped the gavel hard. That wasn't just evidence, that was a ghost speaking truth. Hyler forwarded Savannah's deleted social post screenshots bragging she'd be living rent-free soon. Dated before any conflict began, Lucas submitted them as intent proof. The court added it to the fraud dossier. Savannah's lawyer scrambled, tried to disassociate. Judge called it patterned manipulation. Her credibility now legally nullified. The moment hit when a cousin commented she planned it from the start. It wasn't just legal victory, it was social exposure. Her lies didn't just collapse, they echoed. Gregory emailed an apology he said, we meant well. Families bend rules for each other. I didn't respond. Lucas advised keeping it. It wasn't remorse, it was admission. We printed it, another nail in their case. Aunt Lynn read it aloud to the extended family. The silence afterward said it all. Melody stopped showing up to hearings. Savannah posted cryptic quotes online about betrayal. They lost control of the story. I held every thread now. A neighbor came forward. He'd seen Melody unlocking my gate weeks before the locks changed. He testified, confirmed dates, even produced doorbell footage. Lucas added it to the trespass report. That witness sealed the narrative. They weren't confused, they were calculated. The judge nodded after viewing the video. Pattern of course of entry, he wrote. Melody's attorney asked to withdraw from the case. Their defense evaporated. It wasn't just about the house anymore. It was about control and losing it. During the final hearing, the judge asked Savannah if she had any final statements. She cried, said I'd abandoned family. I didn't speak. Lucas handed over my last file, a photo of Mom, me, and the house key she gave me, dated, signed. The judge looked at it, then at me. Ownership confirmed. Motion granted. I felt something break, not me. The cycle. The legacy of guilt, control, and manipulation. That courtroom didn't just rule, it freed me. Lucas and I left the courthouse to find news crews outside. Somehow, the GoFundMe fallout had reached the local press. One reporter asked, what do you want people to know? I answered that silence is no longer consent, that inheritance is not negotiable. They ran the quote online. The comments were a flood of support. Strangers validated my truth more than blood ever did. I didn't smile, but I stood taller. That was the beginning of peace. Savannah sent one last email. No apology. Just you ruined everything. I forwarded it to Lucas, archived it, then blocked her for good. That message wasn't guilt, it was grief for lost entitlement. I stood at my front porch that evening, keys in hand, door behind me shut tight. The lights inside were warm, the air still. That house, the one they tried to steal, stood because I didn't break. I outlasted their lies, and I was home, after the restraining orders. Hearings, and every desperate tactic failed. I felt something new, stillness. Not relief, not joy, just stillness, the kind that comes when chaos ends. My friends helped me repaint the guest room, not to forget, but to reclaim. I changed the locks again, not out of fear but finality. That home, once a battlefield, became sacred again. I lit a candle by Mom's picture. We're good now, I whispered. She left me protection. I honored it. I no longer flinch when the doorbell rings. I walk barefoot through the house now, without scanning for signs of intrusion. Peace isn't loud, it's the absence of footsteps that don't belong. Melody and Gregory lost access, not just physically but legally, emotionally, historically. Savannah never sent another message. I kept the fireproof box, but added a new folder, restoration. Inside, copies of title affirmations, family letters of support, photos from the housewarming. Every page is a line I redrew, this time in permanent ink. Now they're gone, not just from my house but from my mind. I'm not haunted anymore. The community supported me, neighbors, friends, even strangers online. Lucas became more than my lawyer, he became a friend. I hosted a dinner in the backyard, first one in years, toasted to quiet, to boundaries, to legacy. Mom's garden bloomed again, the air smelled like lavender and lemon. That's what victory looks like, nothing missing. Nothing forced, just peace earned. Savannah had her baby but not in my house. I heard through the grapevine she moved states. Gregory and Melody sold their place to cover legal fees. I don't celebrate their fall, but I won't mourn their distance either. The locks stay changed. The porch light stays on, Mom's house stands strong, and I stand even stronger. Because in the end, I didn't just defend walls, I defended worth, and that made all the difference. Thanks for watching, hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.